Hello lovely people, welcome to the video. My name's Athena. I am a new writer working on my first book whilst homeschooling my two girls and being with them 24/7. Now, I am working on a fantasy romance. For those of you who have no idea what I'm talking about, it is a fantasy romance, questy, magic, all that fun stuff. It breaks naturally into 3 parts. Part 1, Part 2, Part 3. I am currently finishing up the 3rd draft. Full rewrite. All 3 drafts have been full rewrites. This is the 3rd full rewrite, last rewrite. I'm done with rewriting the entire thing. I have to be. I have just finished on Monday. Today is Thursday, the 22nd of May. On Monday, I finished part 2 of the book, which was more so editing than rewriting. I did rewrite the whole thing, like every word, but it was more so copying what was already done and changing minor things. Part 3. I'm moving into part 3. I have not looked at part 3. I have not had any contact with part 3 of the book since October. It is May. So I changed part 1 completely, okay? I don't know if I'm making sense right now. I'm just hoping you guys can follow along. Okay, number 1, let's look at the positives before I jump into my devastation over part 3. This is the rewrite, how it's going. That is a win in my books. I've rewritten all of this. This is what's left of draft 2. This is draft 2. Draft 3 is getting there. So my document is currently sitting at like 113,000 words. 113,000 words. We're gonna ignore that right now. So, as I said, part 2 was more editing than like full-on changing things, like big changes. It didn't have any big changes. It's pretty much been set, I have to say, for the most part, from the first draft. The first part of the book, I had to change quite a bit, which means when I get to the 3rd part of the book, that's where the big changes hit. Because think of it as in, first part, you're introduced to the world. You're introduced to the characters, you're introduced to the normal of these characters, you're introduced to what they want, what they think about themselves, how they react to certain things based on their current experiences. Then part 2 happens and just throws a bunch of stuff at them, and naturally, that changes them as human beings. So then part 3 comes along and they have to react differently to similar situations that occurred in the first. So a lot of things are being tied up, a lot of things are kind of like they're dealing with certain things, and the reactions, etc., are based on what they've been through. But the fact that I changed part 1 automatically means part 3 is now very different. So I had a bit of a breakdown moment. What do I mean? I finished on Monday with the goal. So number 1, I achieved my goal of finishing part 2 and starting part 3 within the month of May. I'm very happy about that. I am beyond happy about that. I take the wins. It is the one thing I've learned in the 1 year of working on this book. You need to take the wins, okay? So I have achieved that goal. I'm very proud of myself for that. My second delusional goal is finishing the book in May. I have wasted 2 days of doing nothing. Why, you ask? I will tell you. I had a full-on breakdown. I started looking through the scenes that I need to do for part 3 of this book. And there were so many changes that had to happen on the original scenes. This is where I kind of got stuck. I started looking at the changes and not focusing on what I was actually doing. So I was like, oh my gosh, so many things need to change. How do I do this? This is not editing. How do I edit this? I was thinking editing, not rewriting. My brain, because part 2 was so much just editing naturally because it didn't need to be fully rewritten, I fell into this little thing of forgetting I'm actually doing a rewrite. Because as you do, you know? Yeah. So I spent 2 days of like back and forth and just going out of my mind, basically, trying to figure out if I'm even worthy of writing a book in the first place. So after my little meltdown, I realized I am rewriting. I looked at the scenes, I found the little tidbits that I liked about each scene, that I wanted to keep, that I needed in the story, that made sense with the story, and then I started rewriting. Because that's the whole point of a rewrite. You rewrite. Because once I started rewriting and looking at it as in, so scenes are fine. I know that I want these scenes to still happen. I know that the setting is perfectly fine. I need more description. I need a few things to shift around in the scene. Characters' reactions are different. Certain things, happening, certain information shared are slightly different. But I still have the base. The base is there. I'm just rewriting based on what has happened in the before, like the previous scenes. Like the characters have evolved, they've changed. They're different people as I've done this whole rewrite. I've gotten to know them better. And that alone just threw me for a loop, But I'm fine. I'm fine now. I have reached that. I think I find when it comes to writing, I think that's the one thing I never realized was a thing. And I mean, how can you if you're not really doing something, I guess? You can so easily get stuck in your own head where you're kind of like, you're thinking, I need to make this first draft perfect. Or I need to like, this whole thing has to be written perfectly the first time. Or I need to like jump into edits before it's even like the story's fully like set out. You hear a lot of people, because I see so many videos, and this is an interesting thing for me, but I think it has to do with my process as well. I don't think everyone does like 3 full rewrites of their book. So a lot of people are like, finish the first draft, now we're on to editing. And I'm kind of like, my first draft, the first half was terrible. Like there was nothing, like there was barely anything I could use in that first half. There were like tiny smidges of what I would want it to turn into, but nothing that I could edit. I had to redo the whole thing. Draft 2 was pretty similar. I kind of redid, I rewrote, I changed a lot of things, and I was getting closer to what I wanted it to be until finally now in this third rewrite, this third draft, I know that that's how I want the story to go. I know that this is the storyline, this is how it starts, this is how it progresses. Everything has fallen into place. There was no way that first draft would have been like, first draft, done, I can now edit and move on. It's like, no. So seeing a lot of people kind of say, oh, you know, I'm done with the first draft and now I'm on to editing. You kind of get in this idea in your head and you're like, am I doing something wrong? Should I be like trying to make this better than it is? Like, am I doing something wrong in this whole process? Trying to be perfect. I mean, there is no such thing as perfect when writing a book, I feel. But trying to be like the best it can possibly be from the get-go. And that just drives you nuts. Like, no. Okay? So I went a bit crazy for a couple of days, but I reminded myself finally and found a way around all of the whole insanity, and everything is like working out perfectly right now, that it's a rewrite. That's the fun part. I am rewriting, I am setting everything up, and I'm finally making progress again. So there was a moment there, but we're past it. Now, moving on to the rest of the goals for this month. As I mentioned, one of my goals was starting to work on part 3 in May. I have achieved that. I am very proud of myself. Goal number 2 was to finish this book in May. Like 31st of May, I wanted to be done with this rewrite. It is the 22nd of May. I still intend on trying to uphold that goal. Do with that what you will. Yes. So I have set up my little scenes. I have my little scenes. That's 40 scenes total. I do have to say, I know that several of these are going to be kind of blended together as I rewrite, but that's beside the point. I'm still going to be working at like the scenes from the book, and then I'll be marking that these have been blended, etc. So still getting their ticks. Still like my ticks. It's my productivity hack. So I have my little scenes set out. There are 40 scenes total, 2 chunks. So part 3 cuts up into 2 chunks naturally, and 22 scenes, 18 scenes. Focusing on the 22 scenes. I feel like a realistic goal would be to say I'm gonna finish the first chunk of part 3 by the end of May, and then I'm gonna tackle the second half of part 3 in like the first week, 10 days of June. I feel like that is a realistic goal that a normal human being would set. I'm not normal, no. So I know there are times when I shouldn't push myself, that I will burn out, I will just lose it and end up doing nothing. But then there are times when I need to push myself, and I need to like use up every minute that I have, because if I'm not using it up writing, I'm just procrastinating and doing nothing, you know? So now is that time. Like I need to finish this book, I need to finish this rewrite. I know I can do it. It's fun, it's exciting, I'm in the headspace for it. It is, yeah. So, goal still remains. Yes, Bobby? Minor interruption, what was I saying? Okay, so, as I said, goals, we were setting goals. Okay, so, I'm gonna keep my end of May goal. I wanna finish this book by the end of May. I mean, it's the 22nd of May, 8 days, probably, yeah. We're gonna keep at it. I'm going to finish as much as humanely possible, okay? I think my mini goal is probably gonna be finishing the 22 scenes, like finishing that first chunk. That's gonna be like the mini realistic goal, okay? My delusional goal is I'm just gonna charge forward and just do as much as I possibly can, okay? We will see what that gets me in the next video. That's gonna be a fun one. But yeah, I feel like we're moving forward. I need to be done with this rewrite. I need to jump into edits. I need to jump into changing, moving, like fixing it up and really getting it. I'm getting some good feedback from family and friends who are reading the third draft as I'm writing it, which is really fun. Especially considering I have so many things I'm gonna be changing. It's fun. It's still editing though. It is still editing. This is the last rewrite. Okay, it's the last time I am writing the entire book from scratch. The next thing will be editing. Editing, revising, working off of the document itself, making changes, improving, etc., etc. So, with that being said, I will see you guys in the next one, where I hope to come back with at least one chunk of part 3 done. Okay? Okay. We shall see how we go. Bye guys.